This is Rockin' with Jam Man, is with Ken Lewis. How you doing, man?
I'm good, Jam Man. How are you doing?
Good, man. Can't complain. Just enjoying life.
You and me both, man. What a beautiful day it is here, and it's good to meet you and talk to you. I've been watching a couple of your interviews, just trying to get a sense of who you are and what this is going to be. So it's good to meet you in the flesh,
Yeah, good to meet you too. Kind of virtually virtually.
of course.
But yeah, weather's not that bad here. It's 50-50. It's okay.
Yeah, I think this is the last days of summer before fall here, so we'll take what we can get.
Yeah. How's life treating you?
Well, life is mostly work, and work has been mostly great. So I can't complain about that. I can't talk about uh, the big stuff that's been happening this last couple weeks because in my position, you're not allowed to talk about what you're working on until it comes out. So, but suffice it to say, this week I've gotten to work on some really big projects and had a lot of fun with it. And it's been a great year for releases. I've had like 8 BTS mixes come out this year, so it's been a it's been an interesting time. And then I just launched my group Obscene Stealers, and that's been growing much better than I thought it was going to. So I've always got like 10 irons in the fire, doing way too many things, but it's all music related. So how can you stop?
Yeah. So tell me about this new project, Obscene Stealers.
So Obscene Stealers is me and Michael Maas, and my background is in the music industry. I'm a producer, mixer, songwriter, arranger, kind of jack of all trades in the music business. I got 112 gold records. I've worked with everybody. And Michael Maas is a film trailer composer, and he has composed film trailers for mega films like Fast and Furious and Mulan, Star Wars. I mean, he's gifted. So he and I did a Christmas record together last year, and we did a live orchestra, and I produced it, and he scored it, and we just clicked. And sometimes when you meet the right creative people, meet, and you just kind of sense it, and you know it. And then we kind of became friends, and we started talking about doing other work together. And one day I was just like, why don't we try just collaborating on some stuff? And I sent him some stuff to work on, and he sent me back some stuff. And I was just like, what the heck is happening right now? And, like I said, when you know, you know. So Obscene Steelers was it was born out of almost accidentally by just me and Michael becoming friends and going like, well, we're collaborating on stuff. Well, this is really great. Maybe we should think about putting it out. And that's so, and now it's gotten serious, and now we're like, oh shit, we're an artist. We really have to take this seriously and build, and be diligent about creating new music and stuff like that. So it's a whole new aspect of my career for me. I've never filled the artist role before, so here I am.
The track you put for Danger is awesome, man.
Thank you, dude.
It's
are
like
you
this.
a, are you
What?
a hip-hop fan?
Yeah, I am. I'm a fan of both genres, man. Can't
Oh,
complain.
yeah, me too. I like all music, man. It's hard to tear me away from music. I'm glad you like Danger. Do you like the like that big string and drum element that you would hear in the movies, but
Yeah.
with like, a driving rapper over it? I think that's gonna be that's so Obscene Steelers is gonna be like it's me and Michael doing the music and most of the writing, and we pull in different feature artists for each single that we're going to do. So our current single Danger features Daraj, and he's a brilliant rapper. And So that was our first single leading out of the gate. We felt like that was our strongest song to lead the way, and we've been trying to top it since. Next Wednesday, October 5th, we have Side Effects coming out, and I'm gonna have to show you the artwork for Side Effects in a minute. And we so after Side Effects comes out, I think we're gonna try and to stay on a regular release schedule of at least one song every month, and every month try and top it and make something else great, and just keep putting out music until it catches and we can make a career out of it. So we'll see.
Why is this song so short? It's like 2 minutes long.
Well, I think there's a couple reasons for that. One is I think attention spans have gotten really short with people nowadays, and most people hearing a new artist and a new song for the first time probably aren't going to dedicate 3 minutes of their life to it. And I felt like we said everything that we needed to say in that 2 minutes and just made it like really short and impactful and powerful. And that's our like first opening salvo to the world. Some of our songs are going to be a little bit longer. I think Side Effects is 2.5 minutes, so that's more in line with like regular pop nowadays. But but we're in a TikTok world now, and you can avoid it, or you can acknowledge that it's there and embrace it and realize that that might be a real path that most serious artists have to at least try and go down. And I'm not trying to make TikToks or any shit like that, but I'm hoping that our music ends up there and that people use it for their videos and stuff. So we'll see. And I think we're making really big, impactful, cinematic stuff that works really well to picture. So there's no reason it wouldn't work on TikTok. So, a whole lot of reasons to go short, but I think the general trend in music is just shorter songs. So, not in metal.
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
no.
I mean, that's a whole different genre, and I totally get that. But I think most things about metal are like doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing on purpose. So it kind of makes sense that metal's keeps these epic 6-7 minute songs still.
No, I figure when the entire album comes out next year, you guys are just going to be calling all your friends and it will be nothing but just big names guesting on tracks.
Well, there's going to be a build for that. I hope someday that, you know, for Obscene Stealers, it started as a very small idea between two friends. And the more we've worked on it together, the more we've realized what the potential outreach of it is. And that, both of us in our normal lives outside of Obscene Stealers collaborate with the top of the music industry all the time. So why not, with our superpowers combining, that we couldn't have the same successes and I think that's going to be a combination of just finding artists who want to hear themselves over that type of a soundscape, because it's a departure. It's not an EDM track. It's not uh it's not your typical like DJ feature. It's more like, hey, I want to go to the movies and hear what I would sound like. And that's kind of, some artists are going to be really interested in that, and some artists are going to be like, it doesn't fit. So we're looking for the ones that does. And I think the collaborations are going to be great. I'm super excited.
So between the two of you guys have over 100 gold albums.
Well, that's just me.
That's just me, then. Come on.
That's that's just me. Michael isn't in the gold records business. So Michael is in film music world, and his credits in film music world are bananas,ville. And me, I've been making major label records for 30 years. So I just keep piling up gold records, and I don't really think about them. When you're working on music, you're just really focused on the music. And like, I'm pretty sure at least one thing that I did this week is going to get me another gold record. This is the first time it's crossed my mind that that's going to happen, but it's almost a certainty because of who the artist is. Um, and I don't take that for granted at all, but the level of artist doesn't affect my work ethic, because I work just as hard for the brand new artists on my plate who nobody has ever heard of as I do for the Kanye Wests and the Taylor Swifts and people like that. And I think that's probably why I'm still making records after 30 years, is because it's about the music, and it's about just loving the music and not taking on work that you're not willing to put 100% into and put your name on. So when you approach it like that, you do great work and people want to work with you, and your career kind of perpetuates if you can get along with people. So
So this is a question that I think about a lot talking to all the bands that come on my show. Do
yeah,
they even have gold albums anymore? Because people don't buy records no more. It's not really a
it's now it's from streaming. And it used to be, so early in my career there was a moment where I think the last year before streaming started counting for gold certifications, there was only about 5 gold records certified in that year, and one of them was Taylor Swift, and one of them was Ariana Grande. So, you know, it had to be that level in order to get a single gold record. Now, with streaming, gold records are dropping like flies. It's really there. I mean, there's a couple dozen a month that come out, and you're just like, well, I got another one. Um, I look at those as kind of like signposts along the road that make you go like, okay, well, I must be doing something right because these keep coming along. And but I think most people in my position would tell you, most people in the industry would tell you that some of the things that we think are the very best records that we've ever made with people never came out, or came out and got completely ignored. And those are just as worthy of, the plaques and the accolades. But, and those are the records that people like me will like. We did it this morning. We pulled out a record that I produced and wrote 5 or 6 years ago and listened to it because it's one of my favorite vocal performances that I ever produced, and it never came out. And I was just like, I want to hear this again. And you know, those are the things that when you place the value in your career on the music and not the money, then it's funny how the money takes care of itself, and the career takes care of itself. So yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something crazy. When I first started, these bands would talk about their new music and they had an album for sale. I thought it was gonna just be like for people wanting to be a retro. I had no clue people paid for their music. I had no clue.
Well, people almost, I think metal is like one of those last genres that still sells albums. And certain countries still buy albums. Japan still buys a lot of albums, and metal is really big in Japan. I think a lot of album sales still happen there. And um, when I was a kid, that's all you could get was vinyl or cassettes, and then CDs came along. And I just saw a statistic today that said vinyl has replaced CDs as the top analog format for the last 3 years. I'm like, what the? That's amazing. It's great. I think there's at least 2 or 3 records that I worked on this year that are going to be released on vinyl. And yeah, that's crazy that those things are still happening. Obviously, you have to buy the vinyl, but streaming is free, and that's one of the big problems with our industry, is that everybody sees music as the thing that's free. So how do musicians make money? And the corporations have come in and figured out how to take as much money for their corporations as they can and not pay it out to the creatives. So we have a situation where the entire music industry is just in a constant state of getting squeezed down and down and down. But the reality is that somebody's going to figure out how to navigate it every day. And it's not supposed to be easy to make it in music, but I think with streaming now, anybody can. If you make great music and you stick with it, you don't need a record label anymore. And we've proven that with a couple bands, that streaming money can be money you can live on. You can grow the audience of your band, or grow the audience of you as an artist or whoever you are, and really, make enough from streaming to live. People look at streaming payouts and they go like, you don't make anything. It's so you don't even make a penny. But when you have songs that connect, um, those streams add up. There's an artist that I produce, a rock artist named Des Rocks, Desrocs. And Des Rocks, we developed from nothing, from the ground floor up. And the 2 biggest songs that he still has to date 5 years later are the second and third single we ever put out before we ever made a dime on anything on him. And we have made so much money on those two, on the whole project. But really, those two songs have been the best songs at streaming. We've made a lot of money at streaming, and we've made, now this is independent money. It's not major label money. This is like enough for a normal person to live on for a little while. And we do well in sync, which is film and TV, and video games and things like that. But that kind of goes towards, none of us were getting paid to do that project. We all built it from scratch, hoping that it would make us anything, and then it turned into something that has done really great for all of us. And I think that opportunity exists for a lot of artists now that never did before. And it's a different world.
I just thought it was all free because it basically is. I don't know one song that I can't stream these days now.
Well, even Apple is, did you see the Apple One? So Apple is packaging their phone, music streaming, and a whole bunch of their other services all into one bundle. So you're not even paying a separate fee for Apple Music anymore. So it's like even freer than it was before. And again, that's a problem for the survival of musicians, but somebody's going to figure it out. And if you use the tools that you have nowadays, it's incredible what you can do, and you can get out there without the help of a record company. So
Who was it like? What?
Are you in a band?
Yeah, but like not like an actual band. I'm in band in school.
Ah,
Like
and you play drums?
Yeah.
And do you want to like create your own band someday?
Yeah, it would be cool.
Have you like jammed with friends or anything?
Yeah, I jam with my friends at bands sometimes. But some of these kids, man, kids are mean.
Well, that's how it all started with me. Was like 10 years old, I got my first guitar, and I just started jamming with friends, and we formed bands and broke up and formed other bands and broke those up and formed bands and played gigs, and then I ended up going to college for it, and that's how I kind of got in the studio industry. Um it's great to hear that kids are still playing instruments, because I think that's not as, in some ways, no, I think it's not as common nowadays. You guys are all creating music on computer, and we had to create music on actual instruments.
Yeah.
Different times, but I mean, the tools you guys have to create nowadays, I find really fascinating. I think you guys are really lucky in a lot of ways, but it goes towards you saying like everything is free with music, so you guys tend to take these incredible tools that you have for granted, because they're free or they're like super cheap, and you don't maximize what you could really create from them. And some people do, like you with your show. Like, who else does this? You're doing a really cool thing. You're kind of pioneering your own way here, so I'm impressed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. What is it like being in the music industry and seeing the kind of change happen, like record stores are passing the thing now? What was it like?
Well, I mean, I'm an old dinosaur, so I've seen the whole evolution of the last 30 years. And then I lived through, the 20 years before that. So I've really seen a tremendous transformation in our industry. And what I find most exciting is where it's going. And I try to stay on the cutting, not the super cutting edge of technology. I'm not a coder or anything, but just on the music part of it. So I'm now really heavily into Atmos surround mixing, and I'm starting to mix in Sony Reality 360 surround mixing. So I don't know if you can really see, but the studio that I'm sitting in right now, you can see the back speakers
Yeah.
in this, and those two back speakers, I have one, two, then I have three, four, five, six, seven speakers around me, and then I have one, two, three, four above me. So that's a total, and then I have a subwoofer. So that's a total of 7.1.4, which is 12 speakers. That's Atmos surround, and Reality 360 is a different configuration. Um, and So now when I'm mixing songs, I'll mix the stereo version, which everybody is used to, and then I'll also mix the surround version, which you can hear on headphones and regular speakers. And this stuff is, most consumers don't even know what it is yet. And I'm out here just praying that the technology sticks around and catches, and I believe that it will, because Apple and Dolby are both multi-billion-dollar companies, and I mean, Apple is almost $1 trillion company, and they've adopted Atmos as their worldwide creative sound standard. So any Apple product that they put out with any kind of audio component is going to have an Atmos surround component to it. That means it's going to be here forever. Like, that's the new thing for, we're going to be doing things with surround soon that we can't even really imagine. And with like VR reality goggles and things like that, it's going to be a really brave new world. So, coming from the days of analog tape and reel to reel and vinyl and cassettes, and um, the great thing about that was, you coming up as an engineer and a producer and a mixer in the business, you really had to learn the fundamentals of how to record well, how to mix properly, and now it's all plug-in based. So you can kind of get away with a lot more sonically nowadays than you could back then. And it was a great time to learn because you really had to work hard to make things sound great back then. Now they come out of a box already sounding great. Um, so, you know, but one of the coolest new things for me with music and like people like you coming up is the types of things that young people are creating, that because you have these new technology tools, uh, are just really exceptionally, fascinating sometimes. The problem is there's just so much being created that there's so much noise to cut through. But some of the stuff that does cut through is just, it's a different way to digest music now than it used to be.
I bet it was amazing back in the day for you to go to into a record store and see all the albums that you were on, be able to pick the CD and look at it.
Dude, it was a totally different experience. And not only to like go to the store and buy it, but people listen to like playlists and they listen to music on their phone and their headphones and things like that nowadays. And when we listened to music, we took that vinyl out and you put it on the turntable or you put the cassette in the thing and you sat there and you listened to that fucking album like 10 times. And you waited for that album to come out. And there were just, it was a lot more of a fan driven experience than it is now. I think now is like song driven, and there are maybe songs that you love, and eventually some of those songs lead you to become a larger fan of certain artists. But back then, if somebody asked you who your favorite artists were, you knew. There was no, you'd be like, oh yeah, well, I'm Nowadays, I ask that question to young people all the time, and I almost never get an answer. They're like, oh, it's I yeah, and it's because you guys are listening to playlists and you're listening to stuff that you don't have to know what it is in real time. Where we went out and spent real hard-earned money on an album that we really waited for, and then absorbed every micro ounce of that thing. And that's how we really used to take in music. I don't really think it happens that way very much anymore. And it's just different times, different experiences, but that was a great way to experience music growing up for sure. And I miss, because I don't do that very much now. And actually, one thing that we did start doing, I have a place down in Ecuador on the beach, and so when we go down there and chill, we always pick classic albums, and we just sit and listen to the whole album. And it's like back in the day, and it's like really amazing. Um, and yeah, it's a great way to kind of re-experience stuff that you loved and forgot about.
What is it like being able to pull out your phone and dial up Yeezy or Eminem or go the pop route and just give Taylor Swift a call? That must be insane.
Well, I don't have juice like that. Some guys in my position do, but I don't tend to be like the guy that's out there taking pictures with everybody and going to the parties and shit like that. I'm the guy that literally lives in the studio 7 days a week making records. And this is my favorite place to be. So I see all of those artists. I've been in the same rooms with them and worked with them plenty, but on a friend or speed dial level, not so. I try and give them their space. So they don't want to be hearing from me on a regular basis. They want to be hearing from their real friends. When you got like there's certain times when you have an insane opportunity, like this morning. The reason I was listening to this thing that I wrote and produced 6 or 7 years ago with this brilliant artist uh is I want to reach out to her later today and offer to put her on a record that I think could be really great for both of us. So you never know when things like that are going to happen. And people you worked with in the past come back around and you start making great new music. It's um I kind of meander my way through the music industry, which is a blessing and a curse, but mostly a blessing.
When you first started, did you ever think you were going to be this famous?
Um, well, I'm not famous at all. um, very, very small subset of people who work in my industry know who I am, and but general anonymity is fantastic. And even with Obscene Stealers, so the thing that you need to know about Obscene Stealers is that Michael Maas is a gorgeous human being, and my face next to his would just not work. So I created us as cartoon characters. Let me see if I can find this thing. Here right now, that's the single cover. So I decided that the two of us should be cartoon characters instead of the real deal, because let's see if I can I don't know if I can share this. I'm gonna try. Oh, can you undisable sharing?
Yeah.
And I'll show you the cover to the next single. So I don't know. Did you see the cover for Danger, which is like a cartoon comic book cover?
Yeah.
That's the style that we're running with for everything. No, you're still not sharing. Um,
It's not working for some reason.
Oh, no worries. If you find it, I'll show you. But so anyway, the next the cover for Side Effects is going to be another comic book cover, and I have morphed into some sort of an animal looking thing, and Michael Moss is holding his violin machine gun above his head like a superhero, and so you know uh I think every artist kind of has to figure out and know who they are. And so I've determined that Obscene Stealers is going to be um, comic book representation and cinematic music of like Side Effects is like dark pop, but it's cinematic, big dark pop. Whereas Danger was more like hip hop. And then the next one might be more electronic and we go wherever the winds go.
What was it like the first time you got to work on a celebrities project?
Uh, let's see. Well, the first big ones, that was pretty amazing. I remember getting to New York City and just working at a big studio for the first time. And just one of the first tasks that I was given was, hey, carry these LL Cool J multi-track reels from this building over to that building. And I was just like, and I looked down and the title on the song was his big single at the moment. And they were doing remixes of it. And I was just sitting there going like, holy shit, I'm carrying the multi-tracks from the current LL Cool J single in my hands right now. This is the coolest thing ever. And man, you could just surround yourself with, the highest level talent and the best gear. And I just really fell in love with the studio. So
Were you nervous at all?
no, I I think I have nerves of steel. Um, and you really need nerves of steel, because I have made horrifically bad mistakes in sessions sitting next to huge people that would have fired me on the spot without hesitation, and they never knew the mistakes happened. And and I didn't break a sweat, never, I was just cool, saw shit happening and going like, oh, I'm gonna have to fix this later. Fuck. You really got to be able to stay cool under pressure working with these people. And you got to learn how to work very fast and creatively. And and like making records, a lot of people spend a lot of time dialing in sounds, but the artist really just wants to work and hear sound and get ideas thrown at them. So the faster that you can work, the better prepared before your sessions, and the faster you can work in the sessions, the more creative they're going to be, and the better results and the more fun you're going to have, because it's much more fun playing guitar and creating melodies and shit than it is spending a half hour tuning and miking up a guitar. So
I
but I don't know, working with artists back then, it was a lot more of a sanctuary for them. Like, I never took a picture with an artist that I worked with almost ever until the mid 2000s. And I got to New York in 1993. And because the studio was their sanctuary, that's where they went to escape the madness and to escape the paparazzi and to get away from, those crazy fans and shit. And they could just be themselves in the studio around other people on their level, that they could just be normal people. So I always wanted to respect that kind of boundary. But nowadays it's like the complete opposite. All of the artists have to work their social media, so it's picture time every time in the studio. It never used to be like that. So it's interesting that it's gone to that now, because I don't have any pictures from back in the day. So I've only got the memories. They're up here.
Are you guys called the Obscene Stealers because you guys are will be working tracks that are already out?
What's that? I missed that.
Are you guys called the Obscene Stealers because you guys will be reworking tracks that are already out?
No, no, no. We're putting out all new music. We may end up doing like remixes for big artists at some point, like DJs do, but that's not our main focus. Our main focus is creating brand new, amazing, original, cinematic, epic music. Um, and then what happens from there is, what happens from there. I think it would be a lot of fun to be able to put cinematic remixes on some of my favorite songs. So we'll have to see what the market looks like, and how our music continues to get received. And the big burden is really on us. We have to show uh fans and listeners that they should pay attention, and we got to keep doing that every time. And eventually then they'll be waiting for the next one. And But we're in building phase. It's gonna be a really fun build, especially since I've never been an artist before. So you know I get to be on the other side of it.
What was it like working on College Dropout?
Amazing. Kanye West is a brilliant genius of the next order, and virtually everybody in the music industry respects the shit out of him musically. I mean, personally, take him or leave him. But but as a creative, one of the things that I found most fascinating about Kanye West, especially during the college dropout, was he had already proven that he was a brilliant producer. before he got signed as an artist. And still, he brought in a dream team of brilliant producers to help him make The College Dropout, because he wanted to make the very best album that he could make, not the very best album that he could make himself. And that always struck me as, because he's so ego driven, and that is such a non-ego thing to do, that's always struck me as like a wild dichotomy with him. But that's to his credit. He's always surrounded himself with highest level creatives who bring the best out of him, and he brings the best out of them. It's always his, vision and ideas guiding the way, but he gives you enough leeway to be creative and help him enhance his project, which anytime Kanye calls, man, it's going to be a great day. So but back on The College Dropout, are you a fan of that record? Have you listened to it a few times? So have you gotten all the way to the end of the record, to Family Business and Last Call?
I'm just starting to, yeah.
All right. So when you get to Family Business, there's going to be an old Southern black man at the beginning of the says, all that glitters is not gold. Oh, gold is not reality. Well, that's me. And when you hear that, you're going to be like, no, it's not, but it is. That's me. And then the very last song that closes the album, talking about really long songs, Last Call is like 8 or 10 minutes long. And it's basically Kanye telling the story of how his career kind of got to that moment, which is a really fascinating story to listen to, especially in the context of that was, what was The College Dropout? 2002? Jeez, I can't remember. But so I'm a writer on Last Call. Everything except for the kick, snare, and shaker is me. I'm the here's to the rock, here's to Rockefeller. So I'm singing on Last Call. I'm playing most of the instruments. It was a lot of fun to do. And that was, it was great. Kanye gives you a lot of leeway to be creative, and he rejects half of the shit that you do, if not more. But the stuff that makes it is like, a moment. And probably my favorite thing I ever did for Kanye was I produced the horn section for All of the Lights. And that was all live brass, and that was all done at my studio with a brilliant horn player named Danny Flam, and he brought like 25 or 28 different horns to the studio that day. And we just spent like 12 hours recording parts, and then I sent them away and spent 2 more days putting it together and delivered it. And then I didn't hear anything from Kanye for 3 months. So that's the business for you, man. Like, sometimes right away, sometimes you don't even know until like the song is out that your work is going to get used. But
Did you know that Kanye was going to be a huge star when you guys first started working together?
Yes. Well, I so vividly still remember being in a studio with him for the first time. It wasn't the first time I'd met him, but he called me up one night and he was working on a Memphis Bleak song as a producer. And he calls me up and he's like, Ken, come down to Quad. I'm doing this song. I need you to put music on it. I'm like, okay. So I go down and I bring my guitar and some gear and shit. And I'm at the console putting guitar parts down with the engineer. And Kanye is sitting on the back couch. This is before The College Dropout. So he wasn't a signed artist at this time. And he's sitting on the back couch with a couple of his boys, completely ignoring the session happening. And he's rhyming nonstop on the couch for hours. I mean, it was surreal to see and to hear, because the way he was rhyming was unlike anybody else out at the time. The subject matter that he was talking about and the way that he was putting ideas together was unlike anybody else at the time. Nobody was like this at all. And I vividly remember hearing lines one time that night that I didn't hear until The College Dropout came out 2 years later, that I was like, oh shit.
Hello? Hello? Uh,
There's no in between. Either everybody's going to get it the way I'm getting it, or nobody's going to get it. And nobody in the music industry signed him. Like there was 26 majors back then. Not majors. There was 26 significant labels that all passed on him. Capitol Records had a finished deal on the table that they pulled and didn't give it to him. And then Dame Dash came along and signed him, and was the only person that believed in him and gave him a shot, which is that's a good synopsis of how the music industry is. Like it's scared to death of anything new and creative and different, and until everybody else tells you it's great, nobody else wants to go like, yeah, this is the one. But Kanye, I always knew, like, he first off, he just always knew that he was as great as he is. It's, and thank God he is that good, because he would have believed it regardless. But it really shows like just how much a belief in yourself and putting the work and the drive in to match it, and how far that can take you, because plenty of people thought he was oh, he's just a producer who wants to be an artist, another one, like, and nobody wanted to give him a shot. Dude was always that. I think he was, in some ways, I liked him better then, because his lyrical subject matter then was from a completely different place of not being rich and not having extravagance, and it was, for me, it was a much more real, connective kind of time, like The College Dropout, compared to what he's doing now. But yeah, it's different flavors.
now you wrote the music for Gold Digger.
I'm not hearing you. Did you mute your mic?
No, no. Can you hear me now?
Jonathan?
Hello? Oh.
Darn it. I hope we can edit this part out.
Yeah, we will.
I lost. Oh, we can? Okay. We lost the sound somewhere. Is it original sound? Talk to me.
Hello?
Okay. What up, man?
This is John. Should original sound be on or off?
Should be off. Let me see 1 second.
Can you guys hear me at all or no?
Yeah.
All right.
We can connect your maxes real quick if you want to jump on those. They're right there.
I can't hear you now. I can't hear you. Wait, now I can.
I got him.
Yeah. Technology, man, you gotta love it.
Technology. All right, you're back. I'm
Yeah.
in headphones now.
Don't worry, we can edit this part out and stuff.
Okay.
All right, take two.
All right, welcome back.
Yeah. So now you wrote the music for Gold Digger. My research says that you did not get any credit for it. Is that
I didn't write the music for Gold Digger. No.
No?
Most of what I do for Kanye is, I do have some writing credits here and there. But most of what I do for him is like designated hitter stuff. So he has a vision for something and he doesn't know how to get it, or he needs somebody to get it for him, but it's his vision. So whatever that is, And then I'm one of the guys on the short list, or I used to be, that was like, oh, this is what you need done. I will figure out how to get that done. And that became, I became the one of the utility guys for Kanye, where when he needed to have something done and didn't know how to do it, I was the call. And that led to, I mean, the amazing thing is how that led to so many opportunities. Like when he called me to do the horn section on all of the lights, he didn't ask me, hey, do you know anything about horns? Do you know how to arrange a horn section? Do you know how to record one? Do you know what a horn is? None of those questions came up, because up to that point, he had thrown so many crazy things at me that I had just delivered on, that he figured, well, he must know how to do this too. So fortunately I did. And but the question of can you do this never comes up with him. It's just, this is what I need you to do. This is my vision for it. And however you need to do that is your responsibility. And that was my relationship with him for years and years. So gets you on a lot of really cool records, I gotta say. Yeah.
Now the real question is, did you get that money from it?
I mean, yeah, I still get money from Gold Digger and old Kanye records because of something called neighboring rights. So, and a lot of people don't know what neighboring rights are. So I get publishing money on the songs that I have a cut of Kanye publishing. You know, they're small cuts and here and there, but I got them. But you also get paid as a performer when you perform. Usually it has to be a song big enough to be like a major single or used a lot in commercials or something like that. So Gold Digger and All of the Lights and Power and Heartless and a lot of those records that I've worked on as a performer, I get residual checks every time that gets used in a new commercial or it gets licensed for another film or a TV show or something like that. I get a little payment for that usage, and that those are called neighboring rights. And the songs that I have publishing on, I would get also a small payment for my share of publishing on that song for that usage as well. So a lot of these songs, you know, you can get if you set yourself up right as a creative, you can get residual payments for years and years and years after you create something, and you know, and still live off that. So it's a fascinating way to earn income.
And you're the guy chanting on Power?
Yeah, me and Alvin Fields. Hey, 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 hey. That's me and Alvin Fields in chipmunk mode. So we're sped up. But if you take that record and you slow it down like vinyl, 3 full half steps, that's going to sound just like me and Alvin in our regular voices. And yeah, we ended up, so we chanted on Power and we did the hand claps as well. And then Kanye heard that and he was like, well, can you do some chants for Lost in the World? So same album, we did chants on Lost in the World, and I did some big drums on Lost in the World. And then he calls us to the studio one night, like 2 months before the album came out. And they were trying to wrap up All of the Lights. My horn section was already long done. But he called us down to the studio, me and Alvin, to chant on All of the Lights. So at the very end of All of the Lights, the thing that goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Well, me and Alvin started the whoa whoas. So it's weird how one gig will lead to another, and again, Kanye never said like, oh, do you know how to sing? Never came up. It was just like, it's going to be you or somebody else or whatever, and you know, just get it done, make me love it. That's all. That's the bar, you know. Deliver great work. I don't give how you deliver great work, just deliver it. And that's my business in a nutshell, is, you know, make yourself valuable to whoever you can and deliver great work and look for more.
That has to be one of my most favorite Kanye songs. That is so cool. You're one of the. Yeah, that is so cool.
That's me and Alan, baby. That and we did that right in my control room of my other studio. Um, and we so one of the ways that we did that was it was maybe 15 or 20 tracks, and we would put the microphone in various places in the control room, and we would either get close or mid-range or far away from it so that the microphone would hear like different colors and dynamics and things, and then we would like change our voices on every chant. So we would be like, all right, we're going to be the deep voice chants, so we're like and then we're good. The next one we're like, okay, next take, all right, you go high and I go mid. So Alvin would be like and I'd be like you know. So in creating layers of tracks, we were giving different voice timbres at different areas in the room, which helped create that gang of voices effect. And then you speed the whole thing up, and then you get the chipmunks, and it all locks in. So a little bit of studio magic.
So you have been on the most of Kanye West albums. I guess you guys are pretty tight then, are you?
Uh, you know, he's another one that I respect the shit out of and would never reach out to him unless I had something really, really real to reach out to him for. And, you know, anytime he calls, it's drop everything and get to work on whatever he needs. And, you know, there's a few clients that are in that realm, like, you know, BTS and people like that. And, but I think one of my favorite Kanye moments was when we wrapped up Watch the Throne. Um, they had closed down a floor of the Mercer Hotel in Soho in New York City, and they set up 3 studios there. And I got called on the very last day of recording, or they were turning in the album that day, and Kanye's right arm guy calls me and he says, it's like noon. And he says, hey, Ken, Kanye needs you to arrange and produce an 8-bar horn section for the bridge of New Day. Can you do it? I'm like, yeah, of course I can. When do you need it by? 7 p.m. tonight. Delivered by hand to the Mercer Hotel. What? That doesn't happen. So it's noon. I had to get the files. Then I had to find 4 horn players. Then I had to get them to the studio. I had to write the horn arrangement. I had to teach it to the horn players, record it, polish it up, and get it to the Mercer Hotel, all in a 7-hour span, which was utter insanity. So, which actually happened. It all came together, and I delivered it at like 7:15. And it came out great. But that night they had a party at the Submercer underneath, and it was only people who were invited, only people who worked on Watch the Throne, and a couple of like Kanye's heavy hitter friends. And I didn't really talk to Kanye much that night because it was all like celebrities in the place, you know. And then late, you know, it's getting a little bit late, and Kanye's a little bit drunk, and he sees me across the room, and he's like, "Yo, come here." So I went over, and he and I are talking, and he's like, "Yo, you got these skills that like nobody else has." And I'm like, you do too. Like, that was my favorite Kanye interaction ever. I mean, I'm sitting there going like, the guy with skills that nobody else has is saying that to me. Okay, thank you. That was a nice compliment. So yeah, he's just, you know, if he's not an alien, I don't know. He's so gifted. So he's really changed music several times over.
Do you go to Sunday service?
Do I? No, I haven't worked with him since Pablo. I did a bunch of stuff on Pablo, and then I haven't really heard from him since. And you know, this business is a lot of out of sight, out of mind. And like there was a time where I didn't see Kanye, maybe like 10 years ago, for like a year, and I ran into him in a studio one night, he just happened to be working in one studio and I was down the hall in another. And I dropped in and said hello to him. I hadn't seen him in over a year. And the next 2 weeks, my phone rang every day with Kanye work. And that's just a lot of times the way it goes. You know, people like him work with so many people in the industry, and certainly so many high level talented people, that he's long forgotten about me right up until the moment that he needs something that he goes like, oh, Ken is the perfect one for this. You know, so, but I mean, at this point, I don't know. I don't, I've got all the Kanye credit. So another Kanye credit is like blue on black at this point. So.
Now I know that Kanye has been hanging with Marilyn Manson. Have you been in the studio for any possible records with the two of them?
No, boy, I wish. I like Marilyn Manson a whole lot. I mean, he's got problems lately, but musically, he's always been incredible. I would love to hear what they cook up together, but I didn't know that they were even in the studio together.
It would be cool to hear finally another rock and roll hip hop crossover.
Well, you know, Black Skinhead from Kanye is so Marilyn Manson-ish. If you listen to Is It Beautiful People and Black Skinhead, it's basically the same record. So hearing those two collaborating is going to be super interesting to hear what they cook up together.
What are the chances of you doing the next Marilyn Manson album?
Well, slim to probably he doesn't know who I am. So so that's the thing. Like, my career, I bill myself as the weirdest resume in the entire music industry. Um, and I typically don't really look for work. It tends to just find me, and I just kind of go wherever the interesting work takes me, which has been a really fascinating way to have a career. Uh, and but you know, it always blows my mind, like, who knows you and who doesn't. Are you a Linkin Park fan?
Me? Yeah, several
Yeah,
records.
like, yeah. I mean, Linkin Park shaped me, certainly as a rock producer. I mean, I just love them. And at their pinnacle, like when Mike Shinoda started the Fort Minor project, Shinoda reached out to me to mix the Remember the Name record, and which is a huge record. It still gets used today. And I was just like, how the fuck did Mike Shinoda even know I existed? He's like in the biggest rock band in the world, and I mostly make hip hop records. And but you know, these people talk, and they're record hounds too, and they love music, and they love knowing, you know, just like I do, just like you do. You love knowing who's behind it, who's the creative forces, and you know, and you find like real, like just similar people in this industry. Like, that's how I found Michael Maas. You know, you just, you know, when you find creatives that you really click with, you're like, oh, we got to work together on something. So,
Did you ever do a metal or rock album? I know that you were in a lot of rap and pop music. Have you ever done one?
yes. So check out an artist named Des Rocks, DESROCS. Uh, Me and my production partner Brent Colatalo were the production team Catalyst, and we produced the first two Des Rocks EPs, Let the Vultures In and Martyr Parade, both really heavy, big rock albums. Those are probably the biggest notables that I've done recently that are still doing well. But I've worked with like I've produced with Avenged Sevenfold, Soul Asylum. Man, there's I wish I did more metal because I really love it. But you know, I think people want to see you for like what your credits read. And one of the interesting things about how my credits read are, you know, you see all these huge hip hop credits, but if you dig into what those credits actually are, that's actually the reason that Avenged Sevenfold called me, because um people like Kanye and J. Cole and big rappers like that often call me to bring different worlds authentically into their world. So, for instance, J. Cole called me on his Born Sinner album, and I ended up producing live choir and live string sections
for 9 songs on the Born Sinner album. Now, anybody who looks at my credit goes like, "Oh, Ken Lewis hip hop," but I'm the guy that did the strings and the choirs, so that's like the super musical portion of it, and that's the the kind of the weird dichotomy in my career is that like the people that know I do hip hop don't know that I do this, and the people that know I do this don't know I can also do that, and it's a blessing and a curse, but I always have work, so as long as I have work that keeps me engaged and happy and keeps a roof over my head, I'll be fine.
I mean, I guess you can call it fun rock, but that is like pop rock, ain't it?
Yeah, fun is pop rock, but uh Jack Antonoff is the guitar player from that band. Did you know that he went on to be one of the biggest producers in the world?
Seriously?
Seriously. So all of the, well, not all of them, a lot of the recent Taylor Swift albums, Lord, the Bleachers, that's all Jack Antonoff production. And he's like one of the kings of producing, especially female pop. And I just worked with him again this year on something that's coming out soon. I don't know what it is. I had to sign an NDA to work on it. So it's going to be a good one.
Yes,
The last time I had to sign an NDA for Jack Antonoff was for Taylor Swift, and previous to that was for Lord. And so I have no idea what this record is going to be, but whatever it is, I'm glad I'm on it. So yeah, I think whatever it is coming out in October. So yeah, but that's the guitar player from Fun. So yeah, there's my resume sprinkles with rock here and there. There's a kind of a rock artist named Scrizzly Adams who leans on Americana, and I've produced all of his records for years and years and years, and I really love. I mean, I kind of was born and raised in rock, so that's where my roots are, and that's where I have really good sensibilities with it. But in my business, you got to go where you can be effective. And if the rock people call, I'm right there. If they don't, I got other things to do.
Whatever happened to those guys? They were huge and just disappeared.
They did a whole second album that never came out. I worked on it. I don't know why the second album never came out. But the singer went off and had a fairly successful solo career for a while. I don't know what he's done lately. And Jack Antonoff went off and became the biggest, female pop producer in the world. But yeah, that I think they suffered from too big, too quick, and maybe couldn't cope, or who knows. But that first album, man, woof. So we caught a moment with that one. I almost passed on that gig. It was only because the president of the record label called me and said, "We need you to do this," and I was like, "Okay, I better do this." And I totally missed that song. I knew "We Are Young" was going to be a hit the moment that it debuted on Super Bowl Sunday. They dropped a car out of a airport, like an airline transport, with a parachute, and it said, "Tonight we are young," and I was like, "Oh, babe, this is going to be a really big hit. Oh, I didn't even see that coming." Like, some songs you work on, you just have no idea. And other songs, you're like, this is definitely going to be huge. And it just is nothing. And you're like, well, that's the business, You just gotta, that's why I look at like the gold plaques and stuff as like signposts along the road. As they're like, oh, I'm still getting these. I must be doing a good job. Okay. But that's not going to affect what I do today.
What was it like working with Eminem?
I like Eminem. I mean, I don't know him all that well, but he's obviously one of the most gifted rappers of our time. And when me and my production partner got the call to produce for him, I was just like, "You got to be kidding me!" There's just some calls that you get that just feel a little bit different than others, and he was certainly one of them. But I like him. I've gotten to work with him a whole bunch. I hope I get to do it again soon.
Now, when you were doing his album, was he ever like, now Dr. Trey would do it this way?
No, he does. He's and a lot of artists are like this. A lot of artists do vocals on their own, or they have a small camp of people that like. I'm not the inner circle guy that's going to be sitting with them while he's doing his vocals. I'm the guy that's sending them beats and he's going to do them, and he'll spend his own time, and or maybe he'll send me something back to mix. And that's the thing. It's like uh, I collaborate with so many different people differently. Um, and the power of the internet allows you, like, my biggest mix clients are halfway around the world. I've mixed like 44 songs for BTS now. And they're in Korea. So it's crazy that you don't have to be in the same room with people anymore, and you can still have a super effective career. But that's kind of where we're at.
It's crazy how a couple of white guys won the rap album of the year.
Well, I mean, I don't put like, are you referring to the Grammys?
Yes.
I mean, the thing you got to understand about the Grammys is it's you you have to spend something like $100 in order to become a member, and you have to be credited in the music industry in order to become a member to vote on the Grammys. I'm a voting member. But you need like legit credits in order to be a voting member, but it costs so much money that unless you're doing well in this industry, you're probably not spending an extra $100 so that you can cast one vote on the Grammys. So what that does is it makes the voting blocks into the people who can afford it, instead of like the rank and file up and coming people in the industry who are actually the ones on the street level making the records that are influencing people. Those people aren't voting en masse on what gets awarded. So you see what I call the old white guy syndrome. And that's the, the old execs have bought up all the tickets, and everybody on their staffs probably has a membership to NARAS, and everybody that works for Universal votes on the Universal artists, and everybody that works at Atlantic votes on the Atlantic artists. And, that's kind of how it goes. And then we see results like the Arcade Fire beating Eminem for album of the year, and we go like, how? And but that's when you realize how the voting blocks get set up. Then you go like, oh, that's how. Yeah, whatever. So the Grammys are another thing where I'm just like, it's really nice to get them because other people care about them. And that's the thing. Like, the more type of, for a person like me, a producer mixer, the more kind of accolades that you can get, the more people trust you. The more people go like, well, Kanye trusted him, I think I can trust him too. Well, BTS trusts him, I must be able to trust him too. And that's how those awards work. It's like, oh, he's got 7 Grammy noms. Okay, he must know what he's doing. He can work with this Grammy nominated artist. So that's how those awards go. But the Grammys it's a fun party. It is the best concert you'll ever see in your life. And it's kind of like watching fireworks on TV. It's not the same. Watching the Grammys on TV is kind of a boring experience. Being at the Grammys in the audience, especially as a nominee, is fucking amazing. I mean, so much talent on that stage all night long, just incredible performances. And maybe you get to win some. So I still haven't won anything.
Where do you put all your Grammys?
Well, I don't have any statues yet. So I've been nominated by name 7 times. And not a damn one of those 7 won. So I have 0 statues, but there's a level in kind of the behind the scenes of the industry called participation awards, where the engineers and producers and songwriters who worked on nominated projects are acknowledged, but it's not, you don't get a statue for it. You're just like, I'm a credited person who worked on this, the Fun album of the year. Like Fun We Are Young was one of my nominations. Kanye West College Dropout was one of my nominations. Oh, there's a bunch of them. But the participations, I've won a bunch of those. I've got like 19 winning participation things. You know, they're road markers. They're nice.
Ever attach one to a gold chain and wear it around the town, flex on people?
I might have to do that now that you suggested it. I like that suggestion. No, I try and be pretty low key about it. I mean, again, like it's a tough balance because in my industry, you know, you got to entice people to work with you. So the hardware's kind of got to be out and people got to see it. You got to be like, oh, you know, the first impression is like, oh, he must know what he's doing because there are plaques behind. Okay. So what else? What else does this guy do? What else, you know? And you know, but I'll put my skills against anybody any day of the week. And that's the thing is, you know, the plaques and the credits get you work, but the only thing that gets you residual work from those people is doing great work. And that's the best kind of work to get.
Now you have to give me a scoop on the Wu-Tang Clan
So the Wu-Tang Clan album that I mixed was the top secret double album, Once Upon a Time in Shaolin. And the whole album was recorded in secret. It was mixed by me in secret. I didn't even tell my manager that I was mixing it at the time. And he didn't find out until the day it came out. And he called me and he was like, bro, what is this fucking Wu-Tang album that everybody's writing about that nobody can hear? And I'm like, I heard it. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, so I couldn't tell you, but yeah, bro, I mixed that whole fucking thing. So mixed it all analog, no plugins, all on an SSL console, old school, just like we would have done in the mid 90s. And it had every member of Wu-Tang Clan. It had every member of the Killer Bees. Cher was a feature on it. We tried to get Macklemore to feature on it. I reached out to Macklemore, and Macklemore said no.
Really?
What? Swear to God, I don't understand that, but whatever. So Mac didn't feature on it, but Cher did, and even ODB has verses on that long after his death. So it's a really great album. It really harkens back to like the second Wu-Tang album, and I hope it sees the light of day someday. But it was always meant to be an art piece. It was always meant to be a one of one, and one copy in existence in the world, and just like a painting or something like that. And you know, I'm amazed that I got to be a part of it. It's, you know, to have something that was actually a legit art for art's sake piece. You know, it was pretty cool. Especially Wu-Tang. I mean, you know, who doesn't love Wu-Tang?
Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang.
Have you seen the Hulu Wu-Tang?
Yeah, that is actually a pretty good show.
We binged that whole. I'm waiting for the next season. I loved that show.
Oh
my other favorite hip hop show, if you haven't seen it, is The Get Down on, I believe it's on Netflix. There was only 2 short seasons of it. It's about the birth of hip hop in New York City in the like the late 70s. And it was done by Baz Luhrmann, who's the same guy that did Moulin Rouge and Elvis. And visually, it's absolutely spectacular. The storyline is incredible, and it really gives you. I mean, I learned so much about hip hop watching it, and I was, you know, I didn't get to New York till the '90s, but still, I was working with a ton of the old original hip hop people, and so yeah, that's another fascinating show if you need one to binge.
Did you know when working on Once Upon a Time in Shaolin that the album would be sold just to one person?
Yeah, that was always the plan. And they originally, they were originally talking about bringing it on tour, on like a listening tour before it got sold. And I thought that was a great idea. And my wrinkle on that was that I thought that they should take that to like places like MoMA in New York City, the Museum of Modern Art, and set up headphone stations that nobody can record, but anybody can walk up and listen to the album and sit there for an hour and just take it in if they want and be a fan. and tour the nation like that so that the fans can hear it before it went away. But they didn't do. They loved that idea and they thought they were going to do that, but they didn't do that. So the album just kind of went away, and that sucks because I want to hear that thing again. It is such a dope album, and I really hope that I think Pleaser Dow bought it, and I'm hoping that Pleaser Dow releases it at some point and just lets us all hear it again. Such a good album. So, but that's art.
Yeah, I would hope he would do that. Oh God, man.
Yeah, it would be really cool. But I always go back to like the person that purchases the art, whoever owns that painting gets to decide if anybody sees it, if anybody ever experiences it but them. And if it goes up in a museum or if it hangs in their personal vault or wherever it is. And I'm like, that's the blessing and the curse of art, that whoever gets it might never let it out. But if we wait long enough, at some point somebody's got to put that thing out, so you'll get to hear it in your lifetime.
Being one of the first people to hear it, was it truly amazing, the album?
I think I'm one of the only people to hear the entire album start to finish, and I've probably heard it more than anybody else start to finish, than except for the main producers, because I had to mix it so you hear every song 150 times when you're mixing a record. Every fine little detail gets examined and touched and blended. And the real trick on the Shaolin album was to not overdo it, because we have all these tools that make beautiful sonics and polish up sound and things like that, and there's nothing beautiful and polished about Wu-Tang, nor should there be. And so you had to make a lot of decisions that you wouldn't do on other records, and you had to go like, nope, I know that vocal is a little bit dark, but I'm not going to brighten it up. I know it could use a touch more compression, but if I do that, it's going to be too nice. And it was the hardest thing to make the easy decisions and to not use the tech. But that was also probably the reason that they called me for it, because I've been mixing in New York since 1993 and I've been working with every hip hop artist alive. So they knew that I would really understand sonically exactly what they were going for, and I had the tools and the skills and the kind of the mindset to get it. And man, it was a fun. I wish they still made records like that. I would love to be mixing records like that all the time.
Were you disappointed when it was bought by that douchebag Martin?
That's art, That's all you can say. That's art, The whoever buys it is out of your control. You can't make something to sell at auction and and then decide who gets it. So it's a blessing and a curse. I wish he had released it, but it's not in his control anymore, so there's hope again.
Yeah,
but I thought the thing that I was most surprised about is that he was the one that got it. If I was a rich NBA player, or if I was a Saudi sheik or somebody with an obnoxious amount of spare money, that album would belong to me. I mean, it's a one of one in every way imaginable. Nobody else has it. It is the most exclusive thing from the most legendary hip hop group that ever lived. And I was just surprised that nobody outbid him. But that's the way it went. I think, nowadays with the NFT craze, that was really like the original NFT before anybody really knew it. And I think if they did the exact same thing today, it would probably go for, an extra zero on what it went for.
Me and you should make an NFT of that. Me and you should make an NFT of that. Personally, it would be better than Bored Apes. Personally.
Well, Bored Apes is pretty. If we could find that success together, man, the podcast you could do.
Yeah. This I really hope. I really hope, man. I really hope.
Well, fingers crossed for here too. Yeah, I don't know where the music industry is going, but I know I'm going to be in it one way or the other. So, I just try and navigate as well as possible. NFTs will probably come and go. It'll be something else, and you know,
Probably might end up like Bitcoin.
I'm really interested to see if Bitcoin sticks around long term, because clearly a lot of these other crypto coins are just speculation and a way for a few people to get rich and most people to give up their money. Uh, and NFTs are the same way. It's like only really the cream of the NFT crop is making any money at all, and the rest of them are just there's nobody to buy it. And especially with crypto down, because crypto, when people were really caking in crypto, they had money for NFTs. Now crypto's down, so they're like, well, we're gonna hold until we're caking again. So to invest in a format that's so determined by other formats is a tough thing.
Who was your favorite artist to work with?
You ever heard of a group called the Talking Heads?
Yes, yes.
Same as it ever was. Burning down the house. So the talking head is a guy named David Byrne, and I recorded and mixed and got to play a bit on a solo album for David Byrne in like 1998 called Look Into the Eyeball. And he was just the funnest, most creative person to work with. The band that he brought in was just a bunch of savage killers. And it was just, he rode his 10-speed bike to the studio every day in New York City. It was just that kind of a gig. And, it was just one of those times showing up, you just wanted to be there. I think Usher was really great to work with. Ariana Grande was really great to work with. Avenged Sevenfold was great to work with. There's a bunch of them. Most artists that are like that are pretty like personable, and they have to be in order to do interviews well and things like that. So you typically get along with them really well, and a lot of these sessions are just laughing half the time. That's when you've made a great record, is when half the session is just spent cracking jokes and laughing. So
Was there one that you had a terrible time with and you never wanted to work with them again?
oh god. God, let me count the ways. I think there's like a 10% rule in business that the 10% most difficult clients, just cut them loose and get rid of them. And I try and adhere to that. And because I want my creative energy focused on where it's most effective, and I don't want to be fighting and having a difficult time with people. So if I have a difficult client, I'll still give them 100% until that song is done. And the moment that song is done, see you later. And a lot of those clients come back and they're like, well, next one. I'm like, no. But you don't name names like that in this business. But I find the people like the high level names that I wouldn't work with again are very few and far between. I mean, it would take, I don't know that very many people have ever done anything in sessions to me that make me go like, nope, never working with them again. But and you realize like one thing that a lot of people don't realize about the music business is that mental illness runs rampant in the music business. And I don't know if it's a curse of creatives, that a lot of people that get to that just next level of open creativity that most of the rest of us humans just can't tap into. There's something else that's deficient. And fans just look at artists and they just, I don't know, they think they know everything about them, and artists are humans too, and they struggle and have self-doubt and all of these things just like everybody else. And it's really tough being an artist, but if you're going to be it nowadays, you got to be 100% in. And it's a different world being an artist nowadays than it used to. You got to be a social media artist. You got to be entertaining. Oh, and by the way, you also got to make great music constantly. I think it can be exhausting. And I hope not to go down that path with Obscene Stealers. We'll see.
Are you guys playing any shows this year?
No, we're not really like the get out and play shows type of guys. We're still both studio rats. We live in the studio. And so I don't know if live shows will ever be something that we do, because we're cartoon characters. So it would have to be something where I don't have to show my face next to Michael's face. If I could be a cartoon character on stage, I would totally do that. But aside from that, you probably ain't gonna see us, because even the lyric videos and stuff are all like video gaming type of stuff. So we know where our niche is.
Couldn't they do a hologram?
They could make us holograms. If we get big enough, we may be holograms. I'd be down for that. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I think it'd be fun to play shows on stage, but as long as I can control the volume, because I got to protect my hearing. Hearing is number one. Always protect your hearing, dude. You only get one pair of ears. When they're gone, you don't get another. And I think there's a general belief in the music industry that like eventually you're just going to get tinnitus. And I'm 52 and I've been making records my entire life and I don't have tinnitus, and I take care of my ears like they are gold. And they, if you want to work in music, and if you want to be a music fan and enjoy listening to music your whole life, protect your ears, because once your ears start ringing, they don't stop. So that's a tough thing, but unfortunately none here.
Oh, I couldn't even imagine that. Just your ears ringing.
All the time. Can't sleep, can't think. Awful. I know people that have it that's just like, it's hard. It's a tough thing to live with. So, you don't really think about the results of that while you're blasting music into your ears. And you should be. Especially now, you're so young that, man, have fun, listen loud, but short periods, protect those ears, and man, you'll be so happy that you did.
Yeah, I really would.
Especially as a drummer, because every time you hit those cymbals and everything, that's just cutting right through you. Make sure you're wearing your earplug. Anybody out there, protect your ears. You only get one pair. And so important.
Yeah, it disturbed me one time when we did a show. The cymbal crash was like right by my ear, and it's a huge loud noise. So it was just bam, bam, right in my ear.
Don't sit there ever again. If here's a trick. If you're ever put in that position and you don't have an earplug, you can get a napkin or like a little bit of toilet paper and just get it into a little ball and wet it in your mouth a little bit and put it in your ear, big enough that it won't get stuck in there, but big enough that it kind of conforms into your ear. And I've gone through, that's my concert protection. When I go to a big concert, the napkins go in the ears and my ears are fine. And if you're in a show and you got the cymbal player or something, the trombone player blasting your ear, man, put an earplug in there and save yourself, because that's really dangerous and not worth it.
I personally think that the market has been way too flooded now that touring is back full swing.
The touring market? I don't go to shows. I'm a hermit. I live in the studio. Literally, this is my comfort zone. Plus, I don't want to subject my ears to that loud a volume anymore. I love going to shows and I really miss them. I love the live experience, but I also love not having my ears ring. And I don't know how much longer I can keep these ears pristine, but I'm gonna go as long as I can. But what bands have you been seeing live? Who are you checking out lately?
I'm in the Foghat. They personally invited me when I interviewed the drummer.
Really?
Yeah.
The Slow Ride.
Yes. Slow ride, take it easy.
Fuck yeah, I grew up on those guys. Yeah, they're great.
I just did Shinedown. That was fun.
I love Shinedown. That's dope. Who else have you been seeing?
I did Sublime.
Did who a concert or interview?
Concert.
Who sings for them now? I mean, I didn't even know they still toured.
Yeah, I know. Like the original guy died when the album came out. I forgot his
Right.
name, but he actually does it pretty good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
dope. I love the Lana Del Rey cover of that "Summertime and the Living's Easy."
Yes, yeah. One of my
That's a
favorite
dope
songs.
song. Yeah, I like them a lot.
What I mean is like there's like 2 or 3 great shows going on at the same night in the same time, all famous bands in different venues.
Well, it's good to with COVID going on for so long, people are just literally dying to get back to shows now. um, so yeah, I think people have just been inside for too long and just need to get out, and especially artists. I mean, touring income is a huge source of income for a lot of artists, and that was just taken away overnight with no warning. And a lot of people didn't have any way to course correct and do something else for a while. So I think everybody's been trying to get touring back for a couple years now, and it looks like thankfully it's back full swing. So maybe budgets for recording will go back up now that touring is back.
I think it's kind of hurting touring because all these shows at the same night, these fans have to choose where to sell out. Shows are not happening, and you are getting less people because of it.
Well, is that what's happening? Or, well, I mean, I guess if that's more of like a tour manager problem. Because if you're a tour manager and you're routing your tour, or I don't know, whoever routes tours, you would think that you would try and not overlap. So that seems like a scheduling conflict to me. But I mean, it's great to see that live music is back so much that is happening, because at the beginning of COVID, nobody really knew if it was ever going to come back. So the fact that there's enough shows that everybody can choose from, it'll work itself out.
What is on your writer?
What do you mean? Oh,
Um,
I don't.
no.
I don't really have a writer.
Okay.
Nah, I'm not an artist like that.
Okay.
Like, for me, if I get flown somewhere for work to produce somebody or something like that, I'm a fly me in coach kind of a guy. I'm not I'm not the first class seats and stupid accommodations guy. Just to treat me like a normal human.
Hey man, I get that sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna switch this up a little bit. What is your requirement for in the studio? Like, what do you have? What do you have
Uh,
to do?
um, like when I work with artists, it depends on the artist. And for me, like I bill myself as the weirdest resume in the music business, and that's I kind of float between genres and whatever. So it's most important for me to do what's best for the artist, and take and really try and just assess who I'm working with, what we're doing, and how I can best contribute to that and guide the artist to the best result for them. And sometimes that means uh, identifying that I can get a lot more out of that artist than that artist has ever delivered before. Let's go, get behind that microphone, and I'm going to work you. And sometimes it's just, you just got to read. Every room is different, and you just got to, production is a lot of psychology. It's knowing kind of instinctually how everybody feels and what the best course of action to do, and instinctually do it. Um, it's different every time, and that's one of the things that makes it so challenging and fun. And every artist is kind of walks their own path and has their own methods, and me too.
Now, you've been in the studio with some of the most famous people in the world. What was the craziest thing you've seen them ask for?
Craziest thing in the studio. I mean, I've seen guns come out. I've never seen anybody shoot anybody, fortunately. Saw a dead guy in front of Daddy's house. That's Puffy's studio. Slumped over in a car, murdered. That was crazy. Yeah, New York City is a fun place to do sessions. I've done sessions in like every major studio in New York City, and a bunch of them in LA and Miami and all over the world. Yeah, I've seen people high on angel dust, which is super scary. The last time I worked with Big Pun before his death, he and Cuban Link were sitting right behind me while I was mixing a record for Big Pun. We were at Battery Studio A, and at some point I just kind of glanced behind me, and they're sitting on the couch behind me, and they're both spinning nickel-plated 9mm on their fingers, and at the time, this was 2 months before Big Pun died, and Big Pun was 750 pounds when he died. So we have a 750-pound man spinning a pistol on his finger, sitting 5 feet behind me. And I just stood up and walked very quietly right out of the room and didn't come back until they were gone. I mean, I've had friends that have had way worse. I've been really, really fortunate in studio land to not have terribly bad things happen. I have friends that have. It's bad business, but
What do you do in your downtime for fun?
Downtime?
Yeah. Do you have any
Downtime. What's downtime? Honestly, I work 7 days a week, so there's not as much downtime as one might hope. But I have a great wife, and most of the time I'm just like wanting to hang out with her and the dog, and we walk the dog a lot. We like we're watching House of Dragons right now, so some amazing TV is always in order, and the occasional sports. I like to get out and drive. I got a nice little sports car, so there's fun things to do. But most of my days are spent in music. It's just the way it goes. But fortunately, it's hard to envision doing much of anything else. So,
what is next for you?
I think Obscene Stealers is probably next. I'm doing surround mixing is growing, and I really love mixing in surround. But Obscene Stealers is where I hope a lot of my energy goes. If the project continues to pick up, and we can really find a way to make a living with it, and I can shift my business from making other people's records to making my own records, man, hallelujah, I would love that. But we're a long ways away from that, and we'll see if we get there. In the meantime, I've always got a full plate of either mixing something or producing something, or I'm producing 3 songs right now for different artists. I've been mixing for a ton of people. That's just going to keep coming.
How do my followers follow you?
You can find me on Instagram at Ken Lewis Producer. My own site, kenlewis.com. obscenestealers.com, and Obscene Stealers are out on all formats. Our single Side Effects drops Wednesday, October 5th. Give it a spin. It's a banger. And Obscene Stealers Danger is out right now, actually doing really well. I've been very pleasantly surprised with how well it's been received as a new artist. So thank you for everybody who's listened, and thanks for your support.
Now I've seen that you guys are just starting out. Are you guys gonna have your famous friends mention you guys on social media for more followers at all?
I try not to ask favors until I really, really need them. So, and I also find in this business, this is a show me, don't tell me business. So sorry. So my goal is to show those other artists that they should be working with us and they should be talking about us. And that. So once I feel like we have something of real substance that I can go to my friends in the industry and be like, hey, bet you didn't know this, give it a listen. And then they go to our Spotify page and they're like, shit, a lot of people are listening to this. Wow. Okay, let me listen. Damn, this is a banger. What else? Shit, 2 bangers, 3 bangers. Okay. All right, now I'm interested. And that's the thing. You can never tell people they should care. You can never tell people how good you are. You can only prove it to them. That's it. And so many people are just like, but just if you all no, you get one listen, that person is going to judge you immediately based on what they hear. They're going to love it or they're going to move on. And you just hope that you make enough great music that enough people love it. And
Are you guys gonna have any cool merch?
If you could share your screen, I could show you side effects. But well, if you go to Spotify, you can see kind of our artwork, and you can see kind of the comic book cover. The cover for the next song isn't out yet, but to me, I think that's going to be like our thing. Is going to be a new comic book cover every time we have a new single out. So people who are drawn to that style of artwork and that kind of presentation, and then when they hear the music, hopefully that's going to kind of become a real long-term thematic thing for us. And we got these comic book illustrators to do the side effects cover that are just amazing. It's so cool. So I never saw myself as a comic book character, but why not?
I just it finally was working, and I believe I just gave you share screen. Did I give you can you try?
Let's see. Yes. Oh. Can you see that?
Yeah, that is so cool.
So I'm the lion-faced looking monster guy, and I have suffered side effects. And Michael is front and center as the superhero with his machine gun violin. And so, and if you see, I have the O and he has the S, so we're Obscene Stealers. And so, yeah, we're hoping this is going to just be like a running theme for us. And especially now that we're finding really incredible illustrators and just, bringing the kind of the vision of what I wanted to us to be to life. It's really fun.
Thank you for showing this week.
You're welcome.
Man.
You're welcome.
I gotta ask, man, you guys are gonna have to hook me up and send me some school shirts, man, because school just started and I need that fresh gear, bro. I gotta show it
All
off.
right. You got it. I'll hook you up, no doubt.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, bro.
Of course. I appreciate you too.
Fun question time. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You're on death row and it's time for your final meal. What's on the menu?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
How many?
What's that?
How many? You can have I think you can have 30 or something.
I would have until I was thrown up, I'd be eating PB&Js. That would be my last meal for sure. What would yours be?
Okay. Chicken wings and pizza.
Okay.
Mozzarella sticks, definitely. A burger. Some McDonald's. I know this sounds like the worst thing to have for your last meal. You're about to get diabetes.
It's your last meal. You might as well make it what you want.
Probably some KFC, a big bucket, 50 family size bucket. Some Mexican food, like tacos.
You know when I had to stop eating fast food?
What?
When I had open heart surgery.
Oh.
So enjoy it while you're young.
Man, I do, man.
Dude, that is the best tasting food on planet Earth. I love fast food, but I haven't had it in years. Oh, to be young again. I envy you.
People would kill sometimes. People would kill.
Tell you.
You could have any superpower. What would you choose?
Well, for side effects, I would apparently become a lion. Michael, I think, would fly. But if I had if I could pick any superpower, it's a good question. Space travel. That's it.
Nice.
I want space travel.
All right. There's no there. Okay. You can also for this question, there also is no limit. You can't like sometimes people will say you can't have like reality or like space-time travel stuff, but that's all allowed. It's any superpower you can think of.
Yeah, for me, it's travel the universe, baby. I want to see what's out there.
I really do too.
Did you see Jupiter the other night was in the sky and you could see its moons with the binoculars?
Seriously?
You probably still can tonight if the sky is clear. Grab a pair of binoculars and hold them real damn still, and you can see 3 moons around Jupiter. It's incredible. I'm like a total space nerd. I love space.
Did you know that they I think it's like 2,000 or 200 light years away, they just found a neighboring like solar system that actually has a similar stuff like thing as us.
They're out there. I hadn't heard that, but I'm gonna look into that. That's I see you follow space as well. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, have you heard of the DART mission and stuff? The DART stuff?
Have you been following the Webb telescope?
Yes.
That's bananas. I mean, the stuff you guys get to see, incredible. When I was 10, I mean, we were on black and white TVs.
Yes.
And now they can see to the edge of the universe. It's crazy. It's amazing.
They're saying that it might take a couple weeks or maybe a month to figure out if it actually did anything.
Oh, the dart into the asteroid?
Yeah, the planet.
Yeah. I haven't heard any of the results from it yet, but that's fascinating. Just the tech to be able to hit that thing at that velocity, at that distance is insanity. Like the math. I'm glad we have smart people on this planet.
Oh God, I am too. And I'm one of them.
Well, I'm not sure I am, but I can hold my own.
Let's just say you could choose any song ever written by any band, and you can change that song where you were the one who wrote it and it was your song. What song would it be and why?
White Christmas.
White Christmas. Okay.
So that's the pure businessman, because White Christmas will last forever in the history of forever and is the biggest money-making song in history, because every Christmas it's back and you're hearing it again. So I think, a song like Uptown Funk would have been that for me. Just that's ubiquitous with like a moment in time. And, I got to work on it, but I didn't write it, or, I'm not the artist. Yeah, to be able to be Mark Ronson and pull that song out of the ether was really incredible. Amazing.
Now this business is all about connections. You think you can holler at Kanye or Eminem or Taylor Swift and ask him to be on my show, man? Just like a holla, just like a hi emoji.
I'm gonna tell you yes. I will definitely do that for you. 150,000% yes.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you so much.
Of course.
Thank you.
Taylor's gonna hit you later on today. Don't worry about it. Just
thank you.
So, but if the phone rings and you don't pick it up, she ain't calling back.
All right, I'll be prepared. Well, thank you for being on my show. It's been a wonderful time speaking with you, man. It's been a wonderful.
Me too. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it, and I really love what you're doing here. I can't wait to see, where your music career goes in the next 5-10 years. I'm really interested to know. So keep in touch.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, and I will see you later, man. at
All
the
right.
backstage of one of your shows, man. Peace.
Rock on. All right. See you later.
Have a nice night, man.
You too.
Thank you.